Blaine, your host with White Labs, a full-service marketing agency. Today's guest is Rick. Rick, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know about your background.
Hi, my name is Rick Ramirez. I'm a owner of a process service company in the state of Michigan. The name of my company is Laser Legal Service, and I opened it in 1990. And primarily what we do is filing of court cases, service of any type of legal document. And I started off as a messenger at a top law firm in the state.
Awesome, Rick. What inspired you to become a process server?
So that's a kind of a funny situation is, like I said, I was going to college and I was in my early 20s and I was interning at a law firm, standing in line in a courthouse, and I was approached by a guy and he was asking me, hey, how would you like to make 3 times the amount of money you're making now? And I kind of chuckled, and that was back in the days of Amway and prepaid legal, and I thought it was possibly some sort of scheme like that. And he said, no, it's serving legal papers. And, we went out, we had a couple cups of coffee and talked, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And it was very conducive to the life that I was leading as a student. So I started out doing that.
Awesome. Who is your, I would say, target audience?
So right now I deal with all major law firms and even the private sector. I work with several different courts in Michigan, and then I've got an online presence. And through the COVID, most of the courts in Michigan shut down. And, we were a state that was shut down for a very long time. And because of my online presence, a lot of law firms that needed stuff served in the state of Michigan, they were still up and running and their courts were open. And they just started reaching out to me, and that gave me and my guys, extra work while the court was shut down. And primarily what we do is we'll start, when you start a case, it's called a summons and complaint. That's the very start of the case. And some firms need runners to take the stuff to court, to file it, probate matters, bankruptcy matters. And from my time of being a runner at a law firm, I learned how to do that. So we implemented that. And then from there, they also need the documents served. And that's the very start of the lawsuit, is getting people noticed. And that's what gets the 2 lawyers started in the case.
Gotcha. What makes you different than your competitors?
So when I started, they would give a server a whole entire county. And as you know, throughout the United States, some counties are a lot larger than others. And I happened to get Oakland County, which is a very large county. And I started thinking like, wow, this is a lot of ground to cover. And so I started with one company. And then before you know it, I was working with 12 different companies, getting as many papers as I could in an area and making my area smaller. And with more work, which were subpoenas, summons and complaints, garnishments, PPOs, papers of that nature, I was able to shorten my area, create more stops, and be more efficient. And then as I was proceeding through college, I ended up with a business degree and thought, this is perfect, because all these guys are independent contractors. So you work when when people are home, for number one, and you create your own schedule. And it's basically catching people and serving them legal papers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for our audience, we have some audience in Michigan. Where are you servicing?
I handle Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, and that encompasses, if you're from Michigan, a lot of times you're using your Michigan map, which is your hand, Yeah. And I, most of the population is right in this area, and all of this is pretty much rural. So most of the business is done in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, and that's where I primarily focus. You need process servers that live, reside, and do business in the area of which they're going to service. That way you're getting the papers attempted on time. And these attorneys there's a lot of time constraints on getting the case started.
Gotcha. What's the future plan for yourself and your brand?
Well, now that the courts are back open, what happened is a lot of our cases were filler. They help get the larger cases out, and those are collection cases, whether it's Ford Motor Credit, Chrysler Credit, credit card debt, hospital debt. We handle a ton of hospital stuff, dentists, stuff like that. And so in our business, all you have is your reputation and your name. A lot of companies, will leave papers. I've got to deliver the paper to you. To Stephen, this is you. You have to appear for your testimony. If you do not get that paper, you may not show up, for the case, or, the divorce may not go through. So it's extremely important that you get notified of the case. And attorneys rely on us heavily because they need our service. So, I've always said you're only as good as your last service. And you can never think of the money, you think of the job and getting the stuff to the people. That's the important thing, so that the attorneys know that these people are going to show up in court. So for branding, I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing. I've been doing it, like I said, since 1990. The company just is growing. And now we went through a 4-year slowdown, and there's a backlog in cases and foreclosures, evictions, things like that. And a lot of people have left the business. So you're constantly cultivating new employees that are honest to get the job done.
Gotcha. What since becoming a process server and having the brand, what are some challenges that you faced in the past few years, and how were you able to overcome them?
Well, always the case is people watch TV and they think that they know what I do for a living. They think that if I cannot get in contact with you for the Porsche that you bought, you'll never be sued for the money. So it's always trying to be one step ahead of the people that you're trying to serve. You've got to get them notified that they're required to be somewhere. Or, we deal with a lot of landlords that need to get these people evicted out of their homes. So that's the biggest thing. And then, of course, today's society seems to be a little bit more angrier than pre-COVID. People seem to be
I would agree.
very, very intense. And you never know what people are doing in their homes in the evening. So you've got to constantly be aware of your surroundings. People always tend to want to shoot the messenger. So you have to always be aware and be careful. People know what you're doing. You've got to, the primary thing is you don't want to die over a piece of paper. Some people get so angry and frustrated. They see you, they want to take it out on you. So it's using those things. And then, of course, technology has kind of hindered us with the Ring doorbells and things like that. But the court deems that as long as somebody's got knowledge of what you're doing and you get the paper in their control, they're served. You no longer have to touch somebody with it, because that can be construed as assault.
Understood. What advice can you give, say, an entrepreneur that's looking to start a new business here in 2024?
Well, I've got several businesses, and always I tell my kids, my independent contractors, and the people I work with is never be concerned with the money. Always be concerned with the task at hand. If you're always worried about the money, you tend to bend the rules. If you're always involved with the task at hand, the money's going to come. Honesty is super important in my industry, and actually in any industry. But your reputation means so much when you're doing what I'm doing. And people look at the reviews. They review you, they see what you're doing, and you can't take somebody's divorce paper and just discard it in the bushes, or a witness that maybe witnessed a fatal accident. And these are important things. And once you start building a brand, people are going to come. Success, breeds success.
Well, speaking of that's good advice. Speaking of building a brand, what's been the most successful marketing piece you've done for the brand?
For me, it's always being available. Being available to talk to people, to talk to secretaries, talk to attorneys, talk to my guys, to understand what's going on, to understand if they're having, this is life. People have problems, they have issues, they have illnesses, they have family things and happening. And you need to be in tune not only with the people that work for you, but the people you work for. So my whole thing is just constant communication, because there's nothing, let's face it, there's nothing more frustrating than waiting for the cable guy who's going to give you a 2 to 4 o'clock window, and it's 5:10 and you haven't heard from anybody. And so that's the main thing. Like today, you don't want to be waiting for me to show up. You want me to be responsible, for me to be here on time, because you're trying to be successful.
It's amazing advice. Rick, anything I haven't asked you that you want our listeners to know?
A lot of people think that that this is an easy job. You can make a lot of money. You can run your own show. It's something that is very lucrative if you're a go-getter, but you have to be a go-getter. And then safety is number one, because like I said, people they don't want to see us. So
Yeah.
and we just have a job that we have to do, and we're not trained by the police, and we're not really given any guidance. So you have to just kind of use your head. So that's it.
Awesome, Rick. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your story. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you as well. And you have a great day. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.